All right, so the next one here, Netanyahu wants a crackdown on protesters in the U.S. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday called for a crackdown on Americans protesting against Israel's slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza at college campuses across the United States. Netanyahu put out the statement in English, so it's meant for us. He said, quote, "What's happening in America's college campuses is horrific. Anti-Semitic mobs have taken over leading universities," end quote. So his comments echoed President Biden, who labeled these demonstrations anti-Semitic protests. So at some American universities, police have arrested and dispersed protesters, but Netanyahu said that more should be done. He said, quote, "Now, fortunately, state, local, federal officials, many of them have responded differently, but there has to be more. More has to be done," end quote. This is the Israeli Prime Minister saying that the U.S. should take action against protesters, against their First Amendment right. And this isn't really anything new. You know, you have the Israeli government really lobbied for the anti-BDS laws and things like that are at the state level. So Yair Lapid, who's the leader of the opposition in Israel and former prime minister, he also called for a crackdown on the protests. He said, quote, "What's happening on American college campuses is unforgivable. It is anti-Semitism. It is support for terrorism. It is support for Hamas, which murders LGBT people and oppresses women. The administration cannot stand by. It has to intervene," end quote. So a member of the Israeli Knesset, the opposition leader, says that Biden's got to take action against these protesters. I mean, imagine another country saying this, you know? So Texas state troopers, there's a lot going on. I haven't been able to keep track of all the different protests at all the different universities, but I saw in Texas, state troopers broke up protests at Texas University in Austin, and at least 10 people were arrested. 10 students were arrested. I saw videos of, looked like a lot of people getting taken away. And, you know, I saw the governor, what's his name, Greg Abbott, like cheering them on and saying, oh, you know, they have to be broken up and everything. So one demand of those protesters at Texas University was for the university to divest from manufacturing companies that supply weapons to the Israeli military. So we've seen Biden and other Israel supporters in the U.S., they're labeling these demonstrations as anti-Semitic, even though many Jewish students are involved. And I linked to, including at the protest at Columbia University, I just saw before I started recording an interview on Breaking Points, or it's whatever Ryan Grimm's show is called on Breaking Points. He interviewed a Jewish student who's at the encampment in Columbia about how she set up a Passover Seder and that they did it in the camp. So, I mean, is that an anti-Semitic protest? I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. But that's the narrative. So where am I here? So Netanyahu really took things a step further. Instead of just calling them anti-Semitic, he claimed that the protesters want to kill Jews wherever they are. So that's what Netanyahu came out and said. And again, these are people, what they're doing is protesting this genocidal slaughter that he is leading.